The precision of language is a powerful tool, and there is no better way to sharpen it than through a well-told story. Today's narrative is an opportunity for you to sharpen your focus and your comprehension of English, as we explore an essential lesson on performance and self-preservation. In our culture, we have created a dangerous idea: the cult of exhaustion. We confuse burnout with dedication. We romanticize sleepless nights, and we wear fatigue like a badge of honor to prove our worth and our ambition. But here is the paradox that could cost us everything. In professions that demand our best performance, where clarity and precision are crucial, why do we treat our most important tool, our own mind and body, with such brutal neglect? This is the story of Asha, a young surgeon who was about to abandon her dream, convinced she didn't have the strength to continue, until she learned a hard lesson about the vital difference between the edge of collapse and the need for a strategic pause. Dr. Asha Sharma's universe was a sterile hallway in Manhattan, governed by the tyranny of the clock and the incessant beeping of monitors. As a first-year surgical resident, her life was an 80-hour-a-week marathon, fueled by caffeine, adrenaline, and the relentless culture that taught that sleep was a weakness and exhaustion a prerequisite. Every day was a succession of life-or-death decisions, made under a pressure few could withstand. But the wear and tear began to show at the edges of her armor of competence. A nearly imperceptible tremor in her hand when holding a pen, a constant mental fog that made her reread the same page of a patient's chart 3 times. And most frightening of all, empathy. The flame that brought her to medicine was being extinguished. The worried faces of patients began to merge into a long list of tasks to be completed, diagnoses to be made, bodies to be fixed. The breaking point came at 3 in the morning, after a 36-hour shift. While filling out a prescription, her exhausted mind reversed 2 numbers in a medication's dosage. It was a simple mistake, caught immediately by an attentive nurse, with no consequences for the patient. But for Asha, it was an earthquake. It wasn't a mistake born from fatigue. It was, in her mind, a character flaw. The final, irrefutable proof that she wasn't good enough, that she didn't belong there. The summons came the next day. The office of Dr. Morales, the chief of surgery, was known for being the coldest place in the hospital, a minimalist space where the only decoration was excellence. Asha walked in, the chart with her error on the desk between them, feeling like a patient awaiting a terminal diagnosis. She braced herself for the verdict, for the confirmation of everything she already believed about herself. But before Dr. Morales could utter the first word, Asha's exhaustion broke through all her barriers. The words came out in a torrent of surrender. "Doctor," she said, her voice low but firm, "I came to tell you that I am quitting my residency. I made a mistake I shouldn't have. I clearly don't have the strength, the stamina that this job requires." Dr. Morales did not interrupt her. She just listened, with the same analytical calm with which she would examine a CT scan, her eyes evaluating not the mistake, but the source of the mistake. When Asha finished, a heavy silence filled the room. Then, the chief of surgery offered her own diagnosis, with a voice that was sharp and precise. "Your problem isn't a lack of talent, Sharma. It's a serious failure in equipment maintenance." Asha remained silent, confused by the diagnosis. Dr. Morales leaned forward, her voice as sharp as surgical steel. "Let me ask you something, Sharma. Would you go into a 12-hour surgery with a dull scalpel?" "Of course not," Asha replied, almost offended by the question. The chief then stared at her. Then why do you try to operate for 80 hours a week with the most important tool of all, your mind, completely dull from exhaustion? Therefore, Dr. Morales continued, I do not accept your resignation. Instead, I'm giving you a prescription. She took a prescription pad and began to write. 48 hours of mandatory leave. Starting now. No emails. No medical books. No contact with this hospital whatsoever. That's a medical order. To Asha, that didn't sound like help. It sounded like a humiliation, a punishment for her weakness, a confirmation of her failure. Her first reaction was shock, shame. But the truth is, there was no fight left in her. Too exhausted to argue, too exhausted to feel anything beyond the weight of her own shoulders, she just nodded. She accepted the order. The first 24 hours were restless. Asha's body craved rest, but her mind, addicted to crisis, refused to slow down, haunted by the ghost of productivity. Then, sleep finally defeated her. She slept for 12 uninterrupted hours. The next day, she did the unthinkable. She walked along the East River with no destination, ate a hot meal while sitting down, and talked to her family on the phone about things that didn't involve life or death. And slowly, without her realizing it, the maintenance began. The mental fog that had enveloped her for months began to dissipate, replaced by a clarity that startled her. Empathy, which she thought she had lost forever, began to bubble back to the surface as she found herself thinking of her patients not as cases, but as people. Rest wasn't passive. It was an active process of sharpening her scalpel. When Asha returned to the hospital, she wasn't magically cured, but she was different. She was calm, focused, present. That very afternoon, a new emergency arrived in the trauma room. In the midst of the controlled chaos, where before she would have felt panic rising, Asha moved with a serene precision that surprised everyone, including herself. And there, with a clear mind and steady hands, she understood the lesson in its entirety. Rest was not an escape from her duty. It was the most essential part of fulfilling it with excellence. Asha's journey, from the razor's edge of exhaustion to the clarity of a rested mind, teaches us a vital truth. We are the most important tool in our own work. Pushing that tool to the point of exhaustion, to the breaking point, is not a sign of dedication. It is an act of neglect. Resting isn't quitting. It is the strategic act of preparing to continue the fight. Her story invites us to be our own doctors and to ask ourselves, what tool in my life, my mind, my creativity, my patience, is dull from exhaustion? And what prescription, what period of maintenance, however small, can I give myself today so I can come back stronger tomorrow? If this lesson about the need to sharpen the tool resonated with you, leave a comment below. Like and share this video so this message can find others who are forgetting to care for their most precious instrument. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that teach us to work and live more wisely. Until next time, remember to rest, not to quit, but to continue stronger,